It is an absolute privilege to be a black man. It is an absolute privilege to be a man of African descent, a man who's African American, who has lineage of individuals who had to overcome traumatic circumstances. Like, that's the blood that runs through my veins. It is a privilege to be a black man, to be an African American, to be a man of African descent. I wouldn't trade places with anyone else. That's not to shade anyone, but it's looking at my existence and my circumstances as an absolute privilege. Like, it's a privilege to be Michael Leonard Dorsey. I wouldn't trade places with anyone else in the world. I don't want anyone else's wife. I love and want my wife. I don't want anyone else's children. I love my children. I wouldn't want anyone else's house, their cars. I don't want anyone else's job. I love who I am. And I love my experience. And I look at my experience and my life as a privilege. See, the thing is, when you desire something of someone else, it changes the narrative of how you approach what you have. You can't find joy and gratitude in where you are. You're never content because you're always seeking the life or the experience of someone else. But the moment that you look at what you have and you realize that even though some of the things might not be the most luxurious, or some of the situations or circumstances may have been challenging, that's still yours. That's something for you to be content with, to have gratitude for. Like, as an African American, as a man of African descent, as a black man in America, it is an absolute privilege to have this existence. The things that my parents, my grandparents, my great grandparents, and those before them had to go through and endure, all those things, that level of resilience that they survived, because if they didn't survive, I wouldn't be here. That level of resilience, that running through my veins, is something that I'm proud of and something I would never want to get away from. That's something that helps me become who I am. That is a privilege. And where there comes great privilege, there's also great responsibility. Because there's great privilege, there's also great responsibility. And the thing is, this has nothing to do with anyone else. This has everything to do with how I view my existence. The reason I went through that is I came across a video, and it was posted by a psychologist, Dr. Raquel Martin, and she puts out some really amazing content, on various issues that fall in the realm of psychology or mental health. But she posted a video, and I sat on it for a few days and really just kind of meditated on it and processed. And I didn't really agree with her take. Okay. There was this video, and I'm going to show it in a second, of some brothers who I believe they are athletes from Vanderbilt University, talking about their experience as an athlete, right? He actually didn't mention race. He talked about it purely through the lens of athleticism and his presence and how he approaches it based off of how he presents in the world. But her take on it is something that I didn't really agree with. Because when you look at who you are and you understand that you bring power into a situation, you understand that you are a thermostat, meaning when I walk in a room, the temperature changes. That means that I bring power with me, and it's not me, it's actually what's flowing through me. That's the Holy Spirit, but that's also generational experiences that are flowing through my veins. That level of resilience that my ancestors and forefathers had, those are things that I have flowing through me as well, because I share that DNA, right? So I understand that there's something special that I bring when I walk in a room. And the reality is, there are some rooms that might not be able to handle the power that I bring. But as a leader, as a person who understands my power, I have the ability to turn the temperature up or turn it down, because my job as a leader, as a person who has influence in various spaces, is to manage my level of influence in a way that's applicable to the situation or circumstance. If someone or some room is capable of handling the power that I bring, I might turn that thing up a little bit. But if I do a situational analysis and look around and realize that everybody here or this situation or this setting can't quite handle if I bring this full thunder with me, I might tone it down a little bit, because my job is to not make people uncomfortable. My job is to not come and make noise. My job is to come and make impact. And sometimes you make impact by standing in the back of the room. Because if you're powerful, you don't have to be up front with the microphone to be impactful. Sometimes you're best suited standing in the corner, because you understand the dynamics of the room. And for you to make the proper impact, it's not about you being loud all the time, just because I'm capable of being loud. Sometimes we have to have discernment in a situation and realize there are times to be loud, to be out front, because I'm capable. But then there are also times for me to fall back. There are actually times for me to exit, because my energy, what I bring to this particular equation, is not necessary in the moment. That's discernment and that's wisdom, but that's also coming from a place of privilege and power. I understand what I bring to a situation. So therefore, I'm not here to ruffle all feathers. I'm capable of ruffling feathers, but I don't have to come. There was this slogan that was utilized in the Silicon Valley for years: move fast and break things, right? It's the rhino in the china shop type situation. You don't always have to have one speed. You have discernment, and you have not just one tool at your disposal. There was this statement back in the day in which people used to always say, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. My thing is, why not have a tool belt in which, yes, a hammer is at your disposal, but I don't always have to pull out my hammer. Sometimes I pull out a scalpel. Sometimes it's a Phillips head screwdriver. Sometimes it's a flathead screwdriver. Sometimes I'm pulling out a power drill, right? I have the capacity to tap into multiple tools. I'm not one dimensional, but I'm doing so from a place of power, not from a place of being subservient and woe is me, everybody's against me. It is a privilege to be who I am in the spaces that I walk in. Therefore, to whom much is given, much is required. I can't operate the same way. I can't, not because I'm scared, not because I'm fearful, but I can't operate the same way because I'm built different. And I understand that. It's a privilege. I want you to listen to this athlete. I believe he's a brother from the University of Vanderbilt. I want you to hear his take. And then we're going to stop for a second. And then I want you to hear Dr. Raquel Martin's take. And I'm going to explain why I didn't quite agree with how she approached it. So hear this young brother's take, and then we'll take it from there.
Gravitate towards just because we're athletes. I don't think everyone understands a lot of people are scared of us because we're athletes. We're normally bigger than the average person. So women are be afraid of us. I'll never get in an elevator with just a woman alone. Got to be very situationally aware of my surroundings.
How have you learned to overcome this challenge?
I just try to keep a friendly smile on my face. Let everybody in the room know that I'm not a threat. I'm friendly. I might be bigger than you, or I might have a projecting voice that I'm not here.
So watching that video.
Hold on. So the thing is, he's aware that there are perceptions out there. And because of the perception and because of the power that he brings when he walks in a room, he's going to, in essence, diffuse that by operating in a certain way. Some people look at this as, someone who is, I'm just going to smile and shuck and jive and go on because I don't want people to be scared of me. You can take it from that perspective, or you can understand your power. When you are powerful, I don't have to show you anything. The wealthiest person in the room does not have to be the flashiest person in the room because they have nothing to prove, right? But the wealthiest person in the room might be the most generous. He may be, right? Because he's like, dude, I don't have anything to prove. Why not be nice? Why not be welcoming? Why not make others comfortable around me? Because I ain't got nothing to prove to you. Nothing you do is going to change my existence or my circumstance. This is coming from a place of power if you approach it that way. Now, if you are approaching it from a standpoint of being fearful, that's different. That's a different spirit of how you operate. Actually, it's interesting. The second book that I wrote is called Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto. The inspiration for that was actually from Billy Graham. I was sitting around on the computer around the time that he died, and I saw this thing that scrolled across the bottom of the screen that said the Modesto Manifesto. And I had never heard of that. So I kind of did a little deep dive. Long story short, when Billy Graham was coming into prominence, he and some of his preacher friends went to Modesto, California, and sat down and really went through some of the issues or the things that had led to the downfall of leaders historically, right? And it was things like dealing with women, dealing with money, et cetera. A lot of the things that really became the Achilles heel of a lot of leaders in the religious space historically. So what they did was they came up with a pact that they loosely termed the Modesto Manifesto, which is basically this way of operating to help guard them from some of the issues that had plagued leaders of the past. That's what became the Modesto Manifesto, right? And so for me, I saw that and I thought through the lens of Black men, we need a Black Fatherhood Manifesto. And so that's why my second book was titled Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto, which is 10 rules necessary for excellence in Black fatherhood. These are things kind of like some guardrails or guideposts to help guard us or guide us as we navigate the waters of being a Black father, right? So, but it's coming from a place of power, not from a place of woe is me. It's so hard being this or everybody's against me. Nah, dude, because I'm powerful, I know that there are going to be forces out there that are going to come to distract it. The enemy's always lurking in the corner, right? So therefore, I have to be situationally aware because of that privilege. Like you have to think about like a celebrity, right? An A-list celebrity can't just go walk through the mall when they want to. They can't just go walk in the park without security when they want to. They can't because of their prominence, because of who they are. There's a great responsibility associated with that. And that's why they can't move the same way. Some celebrities might want to fly first class commercial, but due to security reasons, they have to fly private because of security. They got to move different because of who they are. And some would look at it as a woe is me. Others look at it like, dude, because of who I am, it's a privilege to be that. But to whom much is given, much is required. Now, Dr. Raquel Martin had a different take on this, this explanation from the young men at Vanderbilt. Hear her take, then we'll follow up.
Genuinely made my heart ache as a psychologist and as a mother of two boys, because that kind of hyper awareness is survival mode, and it's not okay. My name is Dr. Raquel Martin. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, professor, scientist, and podcast host, and mother. And if you're here, you're here to learn. So let's discuss this emotional weight of navigating public space as a Black man. I am not a Black man. However, I do work on creating resources for Black men. I am married to a Black man. I am rearing two Black boys, and I specialize in Black health and well-being. And this athlete shared some things that so many Black men know well from my experience being around them, professionally, personally, scientifically, all of that. And that's being perceived as a threat before you even say a word, because of it's not about his size or his identity as an athlete. It's about racism. It's about racism. The decision to soften his voice and smile, not out of comfort, but out of necessity to protect himself against the racist biases that are embedded in people's mind. And as a result, can lead to him being harmed. It's not about chivalry. It's about how racism and stereotypes shape every single move. Black men are taught to be situationally aware, not just for their safety, but also to make others feel safe around them, because their lack of individuals who don't feel safe around them can make their lives difficult. And that constant need to disarm others, it's called identity management. It's a survival tool. It's exhausting. It's the weight of hypervigilance. And over time, it chips away at their mental health. And I think there needs to be more discussion about how being seen as intimidating, even when you're not, impacts how Black men move and trust and love and rest. And if this young man were my
So I told you, I didn't really agree with the perspective that she came from, right? Because it came from almost like he's the victim, right? I looked at it like this young man took the initiative and is guarding himself against various things. Like, I think it's smart to dig your well before you're thirsty. I think it's smart to be situationally aware and to not put yourself in compromising positions, especially if you're an individual who is privileged. If you're a Black man who is athletic, who is on scholarship somewhere, who's doing well in life, and yada, 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 that is a privilege, right? Like, I look at that as a privilege. So to whom much is given, much is required. Because you are gifted and privileged, you can't operate the same way as everyone else, but you're doing so through the lens of being vigilant, like she mentioned, but you're doing so because you are understanding the power that you bring and you don't want to disrupt that power. It's not that you can't relax. It's not that, you can't be yourself. It's not that you're laughing and smiling just for the heck of it, just because you want to disarm people. I think it's really understanding that, listen, everybody can't handle what I bring, and that's okay. I have enough discernment to realize when I need to turn it up and when I need to turn it down, because I have more than one tool at my disposal. Now, again, if you are approaching it through the lens of, it's because of various circumstances, it's because of racism, it's because of, white supremacy or whatnot, that I have to operate this way, then you are not coming from a place of power. You are reacting, not acting. And to me, it sounded as if the young man was creating a playbook or creating, a way of operation that was proactive and not simply reactive. I get some of her points, but I just think we have to understand that being a man is different. We have to walk with power. We can't live life through the lens of, this is happening to me. Sometimes we have to tap in and understand that if we come from a lineage of individuals who overcame various obstacles, though that lineage is flowing through our veins. If you're a person of faith, you got the Holy Spirit, which is limitless. But then genetically, you come from folks who'd have made it happen through all kinds of circumstances. So anything that you face, you're capable of making it happen as well. But we have to see ourselves as powerful, not as victims. Again, that it's a mentality shift. I don't think what she said was wrong. It's just coming at it from a different angle. And I don't know if that angle is beneficial for men. Because again, we're different. Like, we're wired different. We're built different. And that's a privilege. But with that privilege comes great responsibility. And if you can be proactive in how you approach things and guard yourself from potential challenges based off of history, based off of pattern recognition, dude, I'm not walking in fear. I mean, it's a scripture, one of my favorite scriptures, 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So for me, it's about operating with power, love, and a sound mind. If I ever operate through the lens of fear, I know I'm not operating in the spirit of God. That's me. That's what I've come to understand. And so I say shout out to the young man, and to continue being, vigilant in how you operate, but understand that you are a powerful individual, and that power is a privilege. And to whom much is given, much is required. If you got that power, you have to manage that power well. Lord knows we got people in positions of power who don't manage their power well, right? And we're not going and calling names, but that's just the reality of it. We can learn from bad examples. We don't mimic bad examples. We should learn and mimic the good examples, because those are ways that we can manage, use, deploy our power properly. All right. Well, hey, yo, this was really cool. Again, give her a follow, Dr. Raquel Martin. She brings some really, really good stuff. And if you know her, man, tag her in this video, and I'd love to get her response, to see if she kind of has some differing perspectives than I do on this. And again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a brother who is called to encourage, empower, and enhance folks as they walk it like they talk it. And that's just what I do, right? And so, y'all, as always, go be the quarterback of your mindset. Y'all be blessed, well, and wise. Give this channel a follow, share this thing out, and until next time, I'll holler at you. Peace.